Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to MetrObelisk Radio's Firefly Retrospective series. Today, we are looking at the episode Ariel. Now, this episode was written by Jose Molina. Now, his writing credits include an episode of Star Trek DS9, Law & Order SVU, Without a Trace, Star Wars The Clone Wars, Marvel's Agent Carter, and The Tick, the Amazon series. Now, at the time of this recording, he is currently a writer and co-executive producer for Netflix's Magic the Gathering series. And this episode was directed by Alan Croker. Now, this would be the only episode of Firefly that he directed, but his directing credits include shows like Star Trek DS9, Star Trek Voyager, Star Trek Enterprise, the Twilight Zone reboot from 2002, Bones, Covert Affairs, and Defiance. And this was the 8th episode to air on the Fox network during the show's initial release. Now, this episode starts out with River slicing Jane across the chest with a kitchen knife, and I only bring this up because this could explain something else down the line. Basically, this episode is break into a hospital, steal medicine, and get out. Now, during this, Simon wants to take River into a CAT scan to see what the Alliance did to her brain in the Academy. This happens, and it's found out that the Alliance operated on her to remove the filter in her brain that controls all the emotions. So she basically feels everything all at once. Now, it still doesn't explain how she can read minds, but we're at least a step closer to finding out what her quote-unquote powers are. Now, Simon recruits the Serenity crew to break him and River in, and in exchange, he tells them what medicine to take that's valuable on the black market. Now, during this job, Jane decides to turn on River and Simon by calling the feds on them to come take him in. Now, Jane thinks that he's going to get a really big payday. But what do you know? Jane got screwed. You mean Jane made a deal with the government and the government renegotiated without telling him? You know, this show was pretty realistic in its portrayal of governments until that point. Ha ha ha. So then Jane has to escape with Simon and River, not because it's the right thing to do, mind you, it's because he got screwed out of his money. You know, back in the Old West, it wasn't a wise idea for a lawman in a lawless land to screw over a bounty hunter. You refuse to pay the bounty hunter, then you're just asking to get killed by the bounty hunter. You think that the bounty hunter's a lone wolf? Nah. Other bounty hunters are going to help him in his fight. There's two rules that are set amongst the blue-collared folk that everyone should abide by. Rule number 1, you don't fuck with another man's woman. And rule number 2, you don't fuck with another man's money. Now, when the Serenity crew gets back to the Serenity, Malcolm knocks out Jane with a wrench and threatens to throw him out the airlock because Malcolm caught on to basically what Jane did. Basically, put the fear of God into Jane that if he turned on Malcolm or his crew again, he wouldn't hesitate gunning him down where he stood. Now, this was a good episode of the series. It helped expand it upon what River is actually capable of. Even if it wasn't expanded upon in the show, this episode served as a stepping stone to not make her a Mary Sue type character. If a character is just good at everything and there's no explanation for it, then there's really no other way to put it than Mary Sue / Gary Stu. Jane is shown to still be the mercenary for hire / bounty hunter, but learns that if he wants to be a part of the crew, then he needs to play by the rules of a crew by essentially not turning each other in, or else there will be consequences to pay that money can't basically buy you out of. Now, that's going to do it for this episode of our Firefly Retrospective. Come back next time when we cover the next episode, War Stories.